Hey guys, I want to talk to you a little bit about narrative versus descriptive writing. So this is part one of a two-part presentation. Part two will be next week in class when we're back on campus. So I want to talk to you about how you can connect your inner storyteller and your powers of observation with your writing. Because for essay one, the where I'm from essay, you'll probably using more descriptive writing, but you may bring elements of narration and storytelling into it. So I think it's a good time to introduce this concept. So here we go. All right, so first let me talk to you about narrative writing and in particular how someone would go about writing a narrative essay. So the purpose of a narrative essay is actually simply to tell a story. It's pretty straightforward. It could be a factual story, like something that actually happened to you or someone you know. It could be something you just make up, a completely fictional story, or it could be a little bit, somewhere in between. Like maybe some things actually happened, but maybe you want to embellish your writing a little bit and you add some fictional elements to what is basically a true story. So the structure of a narrative essay would flow chronologically, meaning that it would use time as its structure of organization. So there would be a beginning, a middle, and an end. And the story that you tell, you would structure your essay in terms of time, in terms of events and when they happened. Where did it start? What happened in the middle, and how did it resolve? How did the story resolve? Narrative essays rely heavily on transition words to give the reader an idea of where you are in time. So you could say, first, next, then, finally, or words like immediately, meanwhile, ultimately. So you're going to use really strong transition words in a narrative essay to keep the reader oriented about where you are in time. And this is the classic plot line for any sort of narrative, whether that's a story or a novel or an essay that uses a narrative structure. So the beginning is sort of what we call the exposition. This is where you tell the reader, where and when the story took place. It's the setting, which probably a lot of you are familiar with that word. Then in the middle, you start creating tension in the story. So there's a sense of a conflict emerging and this rising action that leads to the ultimate, climax, that this conflict comes to a head. Maybe you're writing an essay about someone who I hate to use the example, but let's say someone who bullied you in school, and the bullying incidents got more and more serious until finally, it erupted and maybe just a fist fight or something where you finally you had enough and you just punched the bully in the face. That's sort of the climactic moment of your story. And then the story resolves from there. So there's this idea of falling action. You punch the bully in the face and he never bothers you again. And that's the end of the story. So this is the classic plot line. Exposition, conflict, rising action, climax, falling action, and resolution. And it follows a sort of beginning, middle, end structure. All right, descriptive essays are very different. Descriptive essays rely on your senses. So your hearing, your sight, sense of smell, taste, touch. These are the sensory elements you would bring into a descriptive essay. The purpose of a descriptive essay is to convey an intense description of a person, place, object, or concept. And for this Where I'm From essay, most of you will be describing a place, where you're from. It could be conceptual, could be you come from a place of love and you're going to write more metaphorically, but I'll explain more about the essay later in this module, in this unit. But, think of it as just an intense description of a person, place, object, or concept. So the purpose of descriptive writing, you as the writer have to engage your reader's five senses. So you are using words that convey ideas and the object or person you're describing in a sensory way. So that your reader can have a mental image. If you're describing food, they should be able to almost taste it on their tongue. If you're describing a place, let's say you're describing your favorite vacation, some beach vacation, then you want to describe the way the air sounds and the way the salty water tastes and the way the sand feels as it grazes the bottom of your foot. So you want to go into as much detail as possible in a descriptive essay. So the structure of a descriptive essay is much different than a narrative essay. There's an introduction where you want to briefly explain why you've chosen that particular person, place, object, or concept. Why is it your subject for that particular essay? Within the body, let's say we're writing a 5-paragraph essay and we have 3 body paragraphs, then the first paragraph is going to provide just a vivid description of that person, place, object, or concept. You want to create this sharp mental image in the first body paragraph. The second body paragraph, you might go into describing other aspects of that person, place, object, or concept, or maybe describing what surrounds it. You know, what are the surroundings of that person, place, object, or concept, and bring those surroundings or background into detail. And in the last paragraph, you want to convey a sense of emotion. So you bring in your senses and emotions that you associate with that person, place, or object. So make the reader feel the emotional connection, the same, is the strong emotional connection that you have for that object of your description. So bring in the feelings and emotions you have and describe those in vivid detail. And finally, in your conclusion, you want to emphasize the importance of your description. I left the D off. Description to sum up the emotions, attitudes, and impressions that you associate with that person, place, object, or concept. And do this again in a very vivid way. So descriptive writing makes use of sensory details, and I've got this link included on this page. You can click it on the actual page in iCollege and read about sensory details. And typically, descriptive writing also makes use of figurative language, so things like metaphors and similes, adjectives and adverbs. So these are all linguistic elements that you want to bring into your writing. So kind of to conclude here, let's imagine that you were going to write about this photograph. I love this photograph. And you could easily tell a story. I mean, you could just look at this image, this photograph, and try to fill in your mind, seeing this image, what story does it convey to you, and tell that in a narrative form. You could also vividly describe it. You could describe which of the people in this image you're going to focus on. Like I would probably focus on the girl in the white dress, holding a cigarette, and describe in vivid detail her, what she looks like, her expression, her body language, her posture. Then I would, in my second body paragraph, go into what surrounds her. What does that convey to me? And then finally, in the third body paragraph, what is sort of the mood or emotion that this image evokes in me? And I could do that. So that's just a brief introduction to narrative versus descriptive writing. And I think this is a good start as we head into Essay 1, the Where I'm From essay. Okay, see you soon.